Let me start with mantra. Om Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. So this is the few last verses about Om Tat Sat. Everybody's using it in India. Everywhere you can see it, Om Tat Sat. So there is an explanation which is very ritualistic. Sri Aurobindo gives it a bit different meaning. Om Tat Sat iti nirdesho brahmanas trividhah smritah. Brahmanaha tena vedascha yajnascha vihitav pura. So Sri Aurobindo's translation. The formula Om Tat Sat is the triple definition of the Brahman, by whom the Brahmanas and Vedas and sacrifices were created of old. Here's a footnote on, I think, Om. We will read later. Tasmat Om ityudaharitya yajnadana tapakriyaha pravartanti vidhanoktah satatam brahmavadinam. Therefore, with the pronunciation of Om, the acts of sacrifice, giving, and ascesis, as laid down in the rules, are always commenced by the knowers of Brahman. Therefore, Tosmat Om iti, thus, Om Udaharitya, having pronounced Yajnadana Tapah Kriyah, those who do the rituals, the tapasya, the giving, and the sacrifices, pravartante, begin, vidhana uktah, kind of instructed by the law, satatam, constantly, brahmavadinam, or by the Brahmavadins, let us put it in this way, by those who know the Brahman, who speak the word, by the rishis speaking the word, it is constantly done in accordance with vidhana, accordance with the shastra, or by the rules. Tat ityanabhisandhaya phalam yajñatapah kriyaha dana kriyascha vividhah kriyante moksha kankshibhih. And by those who desire moksha, the different actions of giving and different actions of tapasya and sacrifice are done without the desiring fruit of the sacrifice. With pronunciation of tat and without desire of fruit are performed the various acts of sacrifice, ascesis, and giving by the seekers of liberation. Very traditionalistic, doesn't say much. We don't understand what it really says. I don't really. If you understand, you please share. But we will come to Sri Aurobindo's explanation. It will become clearer. Sad bhave, sadhu bhave cha, sad ityetat prayujyate prashaste karmani tatha sat shabdah partha yujyate. Sat means good and means existence, sadhu. Good, existence, sat. Literally, sat is a participle present tense from root as to be, that which is, yes, being literally, in the bhava of being and in the bhava of sadhu. Sadhu is also a tricky word. It's not necessarily good only, but it is that which leads you to the goal. So, sat leads you to the goal, and sat is that which is. So, And sat is also all the what we have in Latin and other languages like Santa Maria, yes, Saint Francesco, or the Saint, Sant, Sat. It is all the same etymology, being saint. Interesting, yeah? From the same root. To be true. To be true is to be saint. From here, Satyam, truth. Yeah? So in the Prashaste Karmani, so let me read. Sat means good and means existence. Likewise, Opartha, the word sat is used in the sense of a good work. For all good works prepare the soul for the higher reality of our being. So it's kind of sacrificial transformative action which prepares our soul to manifest. Yajne tapasi dane cha sthitih sad iti chochiyate karma chaivad tadarthiyam sad ityeva bhidhiyate. All firm abiding in sacrifice, giving and ascesis, and all works done with the central view as sacrifice, as giving, as ascesis, are sat, for they build the basis for the highest truth in our spirit, in manifestation. So here is Sri Aurobindo's translation or explanation of these. Tat, that, indicates the absolute. He always he uses tat, pointing far, that. Literally it is that. Same etymology, tat and that. Yeah? Teresa knows this already. So that is which is far away from us, transcendental to us, absolute. Sat indicates the supreme and universal existence in its principle. So transcendental, absolute, and transcendental existence. Om is the symbol of the triple Brahman, the outward looking and inward or subtle, and the superconscient causal Purusha. In Mandukya Upanishad, these Om is dealt with. And each letter there corresponds to a certain level of consciousness. So A belongs to earth, U to space, to the Swapna realm, the realm of sleep with dreams. M belongs to the realm of Prajna, the realm of sleep without dreams. And these three, each letter Aum indicates one of these three in ascending order. And the syllable as a whole brings out the fourth state together. When they are pronounced, they bring forward the fourth state, Turiya. Turiya means the fourth, which rises to the absolute. So it reaches out to Tat, it connects the absolute with manifestation here in the physical form. This is Om. Why it's so important? Because it connects all into one fundamental enterprise of the spirit. And then I think it is the last one. Yes, the last one. I wanted to finish this chapter because the 18th one is very significant for us. It's not very interesting for us after those philosophical ideas. This looks like religious, some kind of, dwelling on some symbols. But here something else is coming, very interesting at the end. Ashraddhaya hutam dattam tapastaptam kritam chayat asad ityuchyate partha nachatat pretya no iha. Whatever is wrought or done without faith, oblation, giving, ascesis, or other work, asat it is called apartha. It is not here or hereafter. This is something to think of. So whatever the action is done without faith, first of all, and Shubhendu will speak on it, we will read this passage. Without oblation means without the offering for the growth of the spirit, without giving, without parting with something of your own, giving part of yourself to the world. Yeah? Oblation, giving part of oneself to the subtle world, giving is to the gross world. Ascesis means control of the senses or any other work. It is asat if it is done without these elements. And we are doing quite a lot of this asat work, forgetting about the offering, without the growth of consciousness, without faith, and so on. And here he explains what is Shraddha. Shraddha, literally, we spoke about it quite a bit, means Shraddha. It's the same as cardio. We have another word, Hridayam, Hrid, heart. You have the same etymology, but Shraddh is also of this, from the same idea of establishing or holding the heart, or putting, how to say, establishing is the only word for dha, putting the heart into action. And Sri Aurobindo explains here, because Shraddha is the central principle of our existence, any of these things done without Shraddha is a falsity and has no true meaning or true substance on earth or beyond. No reality, no power to endure or create in life here or after the mortal life, in greater regions of our conscious spirit. The soul's faith, not a mere intellectual belief, but its concordant will to know, to see, to believe, to do and be according to its vision and knowledge. This is what Mother describes as sincerity, the total match between the inner intention and outer force which manifests this intention. When there is a total measurement between the two, the sincerity is there. So this is the only measurement of sincerity. The inner intention has to match with the means of its expression. There should be no exaggeration, no belittling, no manipulating with the inner intention. Very similar to this what Sri Aurobindo says here. So the soul's faith, not a mere intellectual belief, but its concordant will to know, to see, to believe, and to do and be according to its vision and knowledge, is that which determines by its power the measure of our possibilities of becoming. So the faith is needed not because we want to find the divine disappear from this world. No, it is needed for these possibilities of becoming. Faith is needed for this world, for the divine to reach out to this world, not for us to get out from this world. This is Sri Aurobindo's definition here, which is profound. Possibilities of becoming, and it is this faith and will turned in all our inner and outer self, nature and action towards all that is highest, most divine, most real and eternal, that will enable us to reach the supreme perfection. There has to be full stop, not comma. It's just a misprint. So here we are, we finished the chapter 17. If you have something to say on faith or anything, so please go ahead. If it triggers some thoughts in you. Or Om Tat Sat, we go forward.
how do we increase our faith? I mean, we all like to know we have faith, but how can we make it like really fixed, even when we are like, say, you know, engaged in the most external activities or dealing with people at work and people outside?
Truly speaking, I have no answer to this. Um, it also, I always wondered in the religions, for example, in Christianity or Judaism, people were always looking for some proof. Show us the proof, Heal somebody. Somebody cannot walk. Make him walk. Make him see. Then I will believe. This is the last thing which I can relate to. I think this is the worst thing ever. Yeah? To demand from the divine the proof. If that is the way to get to the fate, I believe the better not to get there at all, because it will be very religious, very fanatic, and will be always disappointed in the guidance of the divine, because the divine wants to guide all, yeah? Wants to help all. And in this case, this faith becomes very subjective, very connected to my own individual, trust and faith. I trusted you and you didn't do the way I entrusted you my life. Yeah? I did for you so much. I gave you so a lot. I gave you my life. I went and prayed to you every day. And that's how you treat me? Yeah, and my family and this and that. So this is a constant bargain. People who starts with this show me and I will believe end up with this bargaining with the divine, as if the divine is some person, rich person, which has to deliver you goods. Yeah? And if it doesn't, then no good.
Huh.
But I think this is the lowest kind tamasic, let us say, faith. But it's even worse than that. It's something absence of faith. It's imitation of faith for selfish reasons. Faith has nothing to do with selfish reasons. It believes that the divine is because it somewhere it knows that it is true, that the divine is right now present in the universe, in your life, in our meeting. It is present. It's not a concept. It's a present living being. And faith does not need any proof.
Vladimir.
Yes.
So I've thought of this a lot in my life. The distinction between faith and belief, and the best way that I can describe what's true for me is that when I'm walking into the store and the sliding glass doors are closed, I continue to walk because I believe that those doors are open. When they open and I walk through it, then I have the experience of it. And for me, faith is a dynamic force. It has nothing to do with belief. It's an actualization. It's an experience of that divine absolute presence. It's always there. And so the doors close and I approach the supermarket. I believe that they're going to open and I continue to walk. I don't slow down. And when they open and I walk through it, I have the experience of entering.
Very nice. I love your comparison. But what will happen if I really love it? I have the same idea or the same understanding. What will happen if you come to the supermarket and the door will be closed? Will your faith will be shaken?
No.
No. And this is the difference. Yes. You will look for this, and I think like this. If I come and I believe it should be open and it was closed, and nothing happened the way I believed should happen, yeah, I think, oh, the divine doesn't want this way because there is a better way. There's
Well, that involves an element of trust.
absolutely.
What you described, Vladimir. I think that perhaps what Charles is saying is that this belief, there's something beyond belief that faith consists of, and it's trust.
Yeah, we can make such formula. Belief plus trust is faith, yeah, something. But these two elements have to be there because part of belief is in faith, actually, but not the whole thing. Yeah, only one foot is there. Other foot is in trust. You totally trust the divine, whatever happens. Yeah, it could be the end of your life. You go to the supermarket and the brick falls on your head. But if you believe, if you really trust the divine, then you know that this is the way to go.
Sri Aurobindo actually talks about the difference between belief and faith.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the, I know it's there, you know, probably in the opening, the collection of the letters to Dilip Kumar Roy.
Oh, he speaks about this quite extensively in the letters. You find a lot. Yes, he speaks about these differences. It seems something similar what Charles indicated. Belief is more mentally inclined, something we experienced already. It has something to do with our past experiences, with Gita, with how we know the world functions, yes, how we expect it to function. And faith is actually includes all possibilities and accepts them as they are without any. It's some kind of he says, he uses another word, pre-science, or how do you pronounce it? That knowing, kind of pre-knowing. Yeah? It is some kind of knowing inwardly that everything is. By the way, I had also an interesting idea why we fall back always in our progress, why we have to fall back. Because it is described in Savitri, and I discovered it in Savitri this time. Every time yes, I put it on Facebook. Most probably Charles saw it. Yes, so falling back is because we truly, in ourselves, in our innermost self, we do not believe in incapacity of the divine. Yeah? We allow ourselves to fall because the darkness seeks after light anyhow. It wants to grow, and since we inherited this darkness, it pulls us down, as it were. But in our innermost being, we do not believe that divine can fail, so we allow ourselves to deviate every time because of that power, overwhelming power of Shraddha, of faith in the divine, and trusting the divine that it will be the way it should be. Yeah? So it's an additional kind of component. So faith and trust are the greatest powers. Great, thank you for this. And we are coming to chapter 18, the last chapter of the Gita, which is kind of also marvelous. This is the most marvelous chapter, which concludes the whole teaching. The gunas, mind and works. It belongs to Jnana Yoga. That's why we will deal with gunas and work. Arjuna Uvacha Sanyasasya Mahabaho Tattvam Ichhami Veditum Tiagasya Cha Hrishikesha Prithak Keshini Sudana. Arjuna says, I desire, O mighty armed, to know the principle of Sanyasa and the principle of Tiaga or Hrishikesha, and their difference, prithak, separately, clearly defined, or Keshini Sudana. Keshini Sudana, one of the epithets of Krishna. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam sanyasam kavayo viduh. Sarva karma phala tyagam prahuh tyagam vichakshanah. The Blessed Lord said, sages have known as sannyasa the physical depositing or laying aside of desirable actions. Tiaga is the name given by the wise to an entire abandonment of all attached clinging to the fruit of works. So there is a subtle difference. So usually sannyasa is believed, and it is still this in this world, that sannyasa is where you renounce the activities in the world. You become inactive, as it were. Yeah? And by becoming inactive, you supposed to reach to the state of inaction, beyond action. All these sannyasis who are going around doing nothing, only eating and praying, so at least they are eating, they are not renouncing all the activities, and begging here and there, moving, living, breathing. So that's what Krishna is making fun of in chapter 3 and 4, yes? That the nature will make you work anyhow, and it depends what you consider to be a work. Yeah? It will push you to wake up and to eat, to move, to do things, whether you want it or not. So this idea that you can renounce the activity and get to the state of inactivity is impossible. By doing nothing, you do not arrive at the state of inactivity, says Krishna. By doing nothing, you don't come there and go there. You have to do something to go there. So what would you do to reach to that state of Brahman? And that is Tiaga, according to Krishna. Sri Aurobindo makes the distinction. He gives the whole article here. We will read now. So the one who renounces every clinging to the fruit of action, that is proper Tyagin. He does not leave the activity. He renounces psychologically attachment to the result of his activity. He is free from the result and not from the activity. We are coming back to karma yoga again, because this is the fundamental notion of the Gita. And here Sri Aurobindo explains this so beautifully. The last question of Arjuna demands a clear distinction between the outer and inner renunciation, sannyasa and Tiaga. The frequent harping and reiterated emphasis of the Gita on this crucial distinction has been amply justified by the subsequent history of the later Indian mind. Its constant confusion of these two very different things and its strong bent towards belittling any activity of the kind taught by the Gita as, at best, only a preliminary to the supreme inaction of sannyasa. So even Gita is interpreted in this way, that Gita teaches sannyasa. And karma yoga is understood as following your duties. Can you imagine? Duties of the father, of the brother, of the citizen. You follow your duties, you do karma yoga. So little is taken from Gita. As a matter of fact, when people talk of Tiaga, of renunciation, it is always the physical renunciation of the world which they understand by the word, or at least on which they lay emphasis, while the Gita takes absolutely the opposite view, that the real Tiaga has action and living in the world as its basis, and not a flight to the monastery, the cave of the hilltop. The real Tiaga is action with the renunciation of desire, and that too is the real sannyasa. This is the meaning of sannyasa. Tiaga. Tiaga is from root tyaj, to leave, to abandon, to depart from. But from what to depart? Yes, either from the action or from the desire of the fruit of action. So that's the whole difference. When I discovered this, for me, this was a revelation. I was on my wings for years, I understood something quintessential. So sannyasa is needed, Tiaga is needed, but not from the action, but from the claim of the ego, when the action is done. I do it because I want something. I don't do anything when I don't want something. Why should I do it? I don't want it, so how can we do without desire for the fruit? Yeah? We are so trained to do this only with the desire of the fruit. I must say, this is a psychological freedom. It doesn't mean that you should not organize your action properly, and plan it and have the result of it. You may have the result of it, only you have to disclaim the need, psychological need, your own, clinging to it, narrowing down your focus on it. I was thinking quite a lot about it. What do you think? I would love to hear your voice in this matter. Huh? What are your thoughts on psychological freedom from the fruit result of action?
Yeah, the only thing that I'm landing on in myself is when I do something for another. Otherwise, I really don't know how to think of it.
So you can see it as very much linked to offering.
Uh-huh. Good. It's a good kind of binding action for the offering. Offering you do not do for the result for your own. Yes, you offer because you want to offer. Giving. That's why they are always talking about offering, giving, sacrifice. Yeah. Why? Because it is always putting somewhere else the aim of action or the result. Yeah. The result is not in your hands. You do it, but the result you give away. The result does not belong to you. Mm-hmm. This is the way.
Mm. I think if you can be without desire, it is the ultimate freedom, because then you're completely at peace, and
Right.
there's no tension. I mean, you accept everything. You're surrendered. In fact, you're surrendered to what comes without being affected by what that is. And for me, that would seem to be a real liberation.
Right. Well, Krishna says that everything is done by nature, actually. So when your nature wants to eat, hungry, you cook food and you hunt and this and that, you will do the activities. But you have to see that this is the nature is doing. Yeah? There's something in you, someone in you, who is not totally engaged in it, yeah? Who can view it as if in the movie. Oh, here you are, getting up, brushing your teeth, going to eat, cooking food, forgetting about food, or remembering about food. All that is happening, while the action is taking place. This is another method, yes, when you renounce the modality, also not the way you know things to be done, you can try different ways things to be doing, or you can also renounce the very idea of the doer, so to say, step back and watch what is happening to you while you live your life and do your work. It's much more difficult, of course, at the end, but it is not impossible. It's some kind of schizophrenia. You become the one who views himself constantly as not involved in the activities. But this is the liberation that you find the one who is free from any activity of nature. And it can be done by doing things.
Hello, I have another opinion about that.
Oh yeah, good.
Yes, I think what we are talking about are engaged in some activity, and you are so identified with activity, you in flow, and you lose yourself.
Your voice is breaking,
Sorry.
Secret. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's some technical. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a poor connection. I want to make the difference between automaton, to be an automata, and to be in the flow. I think
good.
what is mentioned here is when you are in the flow and you are so engaged in the activity, and you don't need to thinking about the fruits, or you are not thinking about yourself, or you are not thinking about you are the observer of your action. You are just engaged in the action.
It could be like this when you, especially when you are, what do you say, when you are alone. But when you are with other people and somebody comes and breaks your castle from this, made from the sand, pushes it away while you were so engaged, then suddenly you realize that there was a lot of engagement personal, and you will react very strongly. And you will see how much you are engaged, you will be broken heart, and you will be kind of fighting for the result of your action. So in a way, it's about freedom, our true freedom, not seeming freedom in the flow of action. Though I understand flow of action can liberate you from selfishness in some way, yeah. When we are totally engaged, we don't even notice time. The whole day is running through like, and now, oh, it's already evening. We forgot about food. We forgot about everything. We are so engaged. It's a beautiful state for beings who are very selfish and counting every bit of energy to engage. Yes, with. I agree. But I believe there's something more, real freedom, where you are not affected by anything, by the flow or no flow, by the failure or success. You are equal to your friends and enemies. Can you imagine friends and enemies and equality to both? It's a real freedom.
One thing I'm working on in my own life here is how to stand back from the activity, how to be a participant, but also an observer in a truer sense. And if I think about what was just said from Siegfried, I guess it was, about being in the flow, for me, there's something that's not conscious about being in the flow, as opposed to trying to stand back and really be an observer and participate, but be an observer. That for me feels more conscious.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, as I look at these issues that we're discussing, it does feel as if there is a consciousness that we are with, we would be with, if we're able to do the action without being focused on the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to stepping back. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Totally.
yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there was a question from Pavitra. Most probably we discussed this before because our course is going for years. But when Pavitra stays in meditation and he achieves certain freedom, yes, from himself, but then he says when his mind is getting engaged into, especially mathematics, he was very fond of to solve some equation, he loses that freedom. He goes into that flow which Siegfried mentioned, and he's very happy to be in that flow. But he loses himself as self-aware being. That means nature grabbed him and pulled him in. Yeah? He lost himself again in the blissful activity, in the joyful flow, in the flow which he loves and likes. But still, he asks Sri Aurobindo, how could I really engage with activity and maintain that which I achieved in meditation? Freedom. And Sri Aurobindo says, you go slow, he says. You start with small actions. Hold on to your witness, onto that withdrawal, while doing small things. Train yourself, yeah? Train yourself to make small moves, small moving of the hand, small moving of the leg. No rush, because you will lose the perception, the inner perception. You have to hold it while doing. That's why Mother gave to many ashramites, especially those very intellectual ones, professors and so on, to do such things like washing dishes. Yeah? And they had experiences in ashram by washing dishes. Because this is a mechanical work, and you have to, doesn't matter what you do, matters that you maintain that witness. If you maintain by doing it, you already achieved something great. And you don't have to do great work. So to learn this, it takes time. First of all, you have to have that witness kind of established, even partially. And then you have to exercise to do the work kind of as a robot. It feels like that from the point of view of the outer consciousness. It will look like you are losing the very gist, the very meaning of life. But it is not so. At the end, it is justified. It's a transition is very difficult, yes. That freedom is everything, what we are looking for. Once we have it, we can choose what to do consciously. We can't choose now. We are totally taken by nature. But then we can choose, or nature offers you some movement, and you can choose, I want this action, I want this thinking, I want this feeling, or not. This freedom we don't have. We are overloaded by energies, and we think it is our energies. Nature took us in. So
There is another thing. I think is coming here the concepts of space and time. If we are experiencing something like this study, and I'm in front of the display of the screen of the computer, and I observe myself in front of the computer, I'm making some space. And if I'm trying to think about what we are thinking about, I introducing the time. I think we have to be free of space and time for to have this kind of experience. We have to recognize space and time, then to be free of both.
It's a manner of speaking, yes, in a manner of speaking. I agree that we have to step out of the space and time involvement, find the being which is beyond space and time within us. We are double beings. Yes, we have the inner being and we have the outer being. Both of them are we. Yeah? So it depends with what we identify ourselves, either with innermost being, then we are free, or with the outermost being, then we are not free. Not free in the sense of inner being, not in the sense of outer being. So
Siegfried, I just wanted to add there, that's not that hard. Keeping your mind as if it's outside of space and time. In fact, most serious scientists or mathematicians do that, right? When they're really looking at the world or reasoning about something, they treat as if everything is, kind of static outside of space and time, and their mind is looking at things as if almost in a completely disinterested fashion.
well, it's a manner of speaking as out of space and time. When we are really out of space and time in the consciousness, we will see it immediately what it means. It's a totally new being which was never born and never dies. So what can you say about that being? Time can be stretched, to the infinity or to the eternity, and still it is time. You are still in time, in eternal time. But to be beyond time and space, it's like boom, totally new being. We are looking for that being. We are that being. We need that being to be more effective with manifestation of the divine. Because our purpose is here only one, to come and to do the work for the divine. We don't live for ourselves. We don't even do this yoga for ourselves. Once we understand this, we are free from even desire, fruit of action for the yoga's sake. You remember somebody was joking, I think it was Alok, about the teacher telling to his disciples, he chose somebody who will be his, the teacher after him. He leaves his body. And his closest disciple was very disappointed that he was not chosen. And teacher says, you have to be humble for this. And he says, I want to be the most humble. Even here you want to be the most, says the teacher. So this is something very interesting, to be the most humble. I want to be the most sincere. So this is how nature actually brought us in, took us in. We are not free. That freedom is altogether something else. I don't think we can describe it, or we can point our finger at it. Yes, we can read how Sri Aurobindo speaks about it, or Gita, and learn from that something, because we have that consciousness in us. It is there waiting for discovery. So that's why we are coming at 6 o'clock to this group to discuss these issues. There's some interest in us to discover our true self, unborn self. Can you imagine you are never born and never will die? There is such consciousness in us.
Vladimir,
Hmm.
previously we've spoken of nature as Prakriti. You're not, this is something different now. When you speak of nature,
Yeah, it's the same. Nature is the manifestation, action, energy, power of the divine, which manifests the divine in time and space. She needs our attention. If we don't give her our attention, she will not be able to do anything. Purusha has to sell himself out to nature. Otherwise, she will not be able to do anything. Without him, I exist not, says the mother. Without me, he is unmanifest. This is all the relation between Purusha and Prakriti. Without him, I exist not.
so tonight you've referred to nature a few times. Are you implying that that is Prakriti?
Yes.
Okay.
Prakriti is the divine mother. There is Para Prakriti, the transcendental, Aditi, there is Apara, the lower, deity, but this is the force of the supreme acting here, either in time and space or beyond time and space. It is she. And he gives himself happily, willingly to her, to forget himself totally, as Sri Aurobindo says in Savitri, and to discover himself anew through her, through that total surrender to her. He wants to discover himself anew. He is doing it willingly. Now, when we become aware of all these processes, we want to find him in us. So we start separating Purusha from Prakriti, kind of stepping back, as Jane was saying, yes, holding oneself as a witness consciousness. These activities of karma yoga, how can we find him without being engaged in her activities as himself? That's what we call liberation, mukti. And once we do that, we will become much more efficient in life because our actions will be precise and to the point, and all will have great results for the nature, for the transformation. Why great results? Because we will do it without selfish engagement. As it is said here, all the activities which do not have this selfless action, they are useless. They don't lead anywhere. They die out where they are. They are like compost for the nature. They feed other activities. They do not feed the consciousness, the growth of consciousness. So this is yoga. It's a very different from normal activity in life. Normal people would do things differently. They would rely on the aim of the action, of the result, and they would dedicate all their energies in life for that result and then that gain to become something, to be something. And it is important for many, many people to develop that power of action. And once you are aware that there is something more, then you want to discover it. So it's not for all, far from it. India was a beautiful country because she valued these people, even without knowing what it means. Brahmins, sannyasis, they were everywhere, and they are all, treated with respect because they knew the ideal. The ideal is to find the divine. So they cannot do it. They live normal life, but there are some people who do it. So that hierarchy was established in India. And you can feel it when you come to India immediately. That invisible hierarchy, though India has changed and became very modern country and very materialistic and egoistic, still that those, thousands of years of respect to the divine is still there, inbuilt in the soil. I can feel it immediately. When I arrived first time to India, I felt, is it really possible to have this sense, like the earth is charged with the spirit. Peace. It's like Sri Aurobindo when he arrived, that was, he stepped in Bombay on the shore and he felt peace and he bowed down to the earth. He made a pranam to India and took the earth and put it on his forehead. He said, I felt such a peace. It's that land, that holy land. Yeah, each land has its own power, of course, but India is very special in that sense.
Vladimir, so I am here, I came to study in Netherlands, and it took me like a couple of months, and I was just in a park and I was trying to smell the soil. And then I was sharing with this friend that I feel like this place has perfected the bestest of the form, but it just, the soil doesn't smell the same. It doesn't feel the same. Like I would recall holding the soil from the village, and I was like, it was just enough to just, I don't know, like just ground me or something, but I just missed something. And it's like the form, it's just so perfect, but the soul is somewhere, I don't know, deep, deep, deep down in the tavern or something.
Interesting. I had the same experience, by the way, when I came. After 27 years in India, I came to the West. I admired the perfection in form, and I thought, wow, people kind of dedicated themselves, sacrificed their inner being to create this perfect form, perfect shapes, perfect clothes, perfect roads, cars, everything works in harmony outwardly. But they gave away their own, the most precious thing for that. And this is a great sacrifice, actually. That form is to be created in the same way. It's a part of the enterprise. Only it has to be now spiritualized. The spirit has to come back into it. So you
Yeah,
are
it feels
same.
it feels stagnant at times, and I wouldn't know what is happening, but then I try to just I try to connect with whatever is around me, and it is too much of effort to go like connect to the essence of even the nature, the space in here. At times I feel like I feel stagnant and I wouldn't know why. And then I don't know, like I was just thinking about it.
Don't take it too close to your heart. Learn from that world something you have to learn. See how they do things, how they sacrifice their inner freedom to do the right outer form and shape, because it's a part of the deal. It has to be learned also. We have to be holistically developed. You have already a sense of the spirit. Now you need this element. You will find the meaning in it later. I found the meaning in it. You don't have to give up the spirit. Just
Yeah,
learn a
I'm
new
just
skill.
trying. Yeah, I'm trying. It's like so difficult to balance at times. But yeah, I know I am here to like really learn a lot about form. And it's, yeah, I just realized this, but then to really be able to be aware of both of it, the essence and the form, here it's a constant, like, yeah, it's a constant tug of war at times.
Right. I was always surprised that people in the West are planning all the time, planning. They are planning and then they are following their plans. Check, 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 check everything.
Yeah.
And I thought, where is life in all that? There is no life. First of all, you plan all the time, which is not real. Then check, check, check. You neglect everything about the natural way of being, yeah? Because you are engaged in fulfilling the plan, which means you are absolutely missing the life, missing the true life, the spirit. And that is so painful in a way. But there is something there. There's some discipline in the material world, discipline in the vital world, which India lost. And India has to get back to it. It's an important element. I'm telling you as the one who lived in both worlds. Of course, it's
Yeah,
much more pleasant to be in India, you know, free, whatever. Yeah, it's this is good, that is good, everything is good. The main thing is this feeling, yes, which you have, that kind of presence or joy of being, living. Even the most poor people without food, without anything, sitting there in the dust, you look at their faces, they're happy. You know, they're happy from doing, not being responsible for anything. But for the perfection of the world, that responsibility is the must also. One has to learn to handle the physical energy, which India cannot. That's why all Indians now go to the West to learn this skill and to bring it back to India. So it's a tough learning, but don't worry, you will manage it. You will like it at the end. You will be much more efficient in every way.
yeah, hopefully.
And it is liberating also to learn this skill, to be disciplined in matter. We are
Yeah,
very
it's like,
loose. Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I was telling this to this friend that it feels like India has the soul still alive because of whatever work has happened in the past, but it needs to work a lot to go somewhere in the form. It's so distorted in the form, at least, but still there are places where it's still in form present, but then there are places which is like really distorted in form, but even there, the soul is there, like that spark is there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's also due to that past of India past. Don't also take it too much for granted. The rishis, the sadhus,
Yogas, yeah.
they established very powerful presence. And you are just taking it, like breathing it. You're not generating it, you're consuming it.
That's correct. Yeah, that's completely correct. Because every time I think of that, where would I like to be when there is commotion? It would be like Himalayas. Or Orwell. I mean,
Orwell, even better. Well, it's a tough place to live actually, but you can find your corner there also.
Yeah.
Great, thank you for sharing thoughts, and if nobody has anything else, so we will stop here and continue next time with Tiaga. We will look into it more precisely what it means in this setting at the end of the Gita, not in Karma Yoga setting. Okay, I will close with the mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Namaste, Vlad. Can I make a request?
Yes.
Can you just send this translation by, I think, Anil Baran Roy,
Sure.
the message of the Gita to me, if possible?
Yes, I will do it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. See you. Bye.
Namaste.
Namaste.